Lombardo, Pittston Councilmember Anthony Gariglia, Representative Jimmy Haddock, Representative Pashinsky, members of the CEO Board of Directors that are in the audience today. The Weinberg Foundation is here. The McGowan Foundation is here. All One is here. We have volunteers, supporters, partner agencies are here. Volunteers of America, Northeast Leadership is also here volunteering with us. Today we come together to talk about an issue that deeply affects many of our neighbors. Delays in receiving Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP benefits. While it may seem like a distant problem to some, SNAP provides a crucial source of food and stability for more than 2 million Pennsylvanians, including 120,000 adults, children, older adults, and veterans right here in Northeast Pennsylvania. These are individuals and families working hard to make ends meet, and timely access to SNAP helps them put food on the table and maintain their health and their dignity. When benefits are delayed, the impact is immediate. Food banks like ours and the organizations we partner with on the front lines are witnessing an unprecedented surge in demand. The pressure on food banks is mounting, with increased need against a backdrop of dwindling supplies. That's why financial support, like the Commonwealth's emergency funding and community donations, are absolutely vital right now. They help local food programs meet urgent needs while families wait for their benefits to be restored. These delays don't just affect those waiting for benefits. They affect our entire community. When families can't buy food, local grocery stores and markets lose business. That loss ripples through the economy, affecting jobs, stability, and community well-being. Hunger doesn't exist in isolation. It touches every part of our lives. It is essential for us to recognize that the charitable food system is not and cannot be a substitute for SNAP benefits. Resources like food banks are an essential support system, but they are designed to supplement, not replace public programs. Lasting food security requires strong public programs that work as intended. Even if you are not personally experiencing these delays, the issue deserves both your attention and your compassion. Our community's strength lies in our collective welfare. As we move forward, let's act with urgency and empathy. Together, we can help ensure that no one in our community goes hungry because of systematic barriers. Thank you all for being part of this effort to build equity, compassion, and resilience across our region. And now I'll turn it over to Governor Shapiro.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. And notwithstanding your poor judgment on sports teams, I do want to say just how thankful I am to all the important work you do here. It really makes a difference in our community, and we're indebted to you for your leadership. So truly, thank you, Jen. Appreciate it. I'm really pleased to be able to be here at Weinberg, though the topic is a challenging one for all of us. This is a place that brings joy and purpose and opportunity into so many people's lives, and has been doing so for the last 3 decades. And so I want to thank Weinberg for the incredible work that you do to feed, distributing more than 14.5 million meals in the 4-county area just last year. I think that is absolutely critical work. That is charitable work. That is important work, especially now when food insecurity and hunger is on the rise. I know that you don't do this work alone. Many of the people that you serve also rely on food assistance from the federal government in the form of SNAP. Here in Pennsylvania, I want you to understand the need. 2 million Pennsylvanians rely on SNAP. Our entire population in this Commonwealth is 13 million people. That means 1 in 8 of our neighbors relies on SNAP, including 714,000 Pennsylvania children. And since SNAP was created back in 1964, it has always been 100% funded by the federal government. SNAP not only helps 2 million Pennsylvanians put food on the table, it also is critical for our farmers here in the Commonwealth who rely on SNAP funding for their market, including great farmers like Logan Brace and Brace's Orchard, who join us here today. Right now, unfortunately, because of the longest federal government shutdown in history, 2 million Pennsylvanians lost their food assistance for the first time ever. In the entire history of SNAP, this is the first time ever that payments did not go out. This is all because the Trump administration has decided that it will not be issuing SNAP benefits for the month of November. Understand how it works. At the beginning of each month, folks have their SNAP cards. Money is loaded up onto it. They use that when they go to grocery stores. Now they can't do that because their cards are empty this month. And they're empty even though the federal government has billions of dollars on hand in congressionally appropriated contingency funds. I want you to know that I didn't stand idly by while the Trump administration refused to fund SNAP. I took them to court and I won. And as a result of our lawsuit, the courts ruled in our favor and said that the Trump administration must use that contingency fund that it has to distribute at least partial payments to SNAP recipients. But now the United States Department of Agriculture is actually telling states that we have to jump through a whole bunch of bureaucratic hoops that by their own admission will delay SNAP payments for more than 1 month. That's their own admission. They're also giving us unclear and conflicting guidance that confuses the process even more. We have a better way and a faster way that ironically the Trump administration had previously approved, where we could get these payments out within 10 days. My Secretary of Department of Human Services, Secretary Val Arkush, outlined this plan in a letter earlier this week to USDA that simply said, we sued you, we won, the court ruled that you have to release the money, and instead of doing it your way, USDA, that's going to take more than a month, we can do it in less than 10 days. Just let us do that. And USDA has failed to respond. We haven't heard back. Look, I think we should be doing everything in our power right now to feed hungry Pennsylvanians, not to make it harder like the federal government is doing. The Trump administration has made it harder every single step of the way. First, they sent us guidance that said, if you, the state, spend even $1 on SNAP, we won't reimburse you for that. So we couldn't use our state money. And then after the courts ruled that they had to send the federal dollars, they erected all these barriers. And then we said we've got a better way to do it, where we can deliver that funding more quickly. And then they go radio silent. I think it's cold-hearted. And by the way, it's not the Pennsylvania way. Here in Pennsylvania, we give a damn about our neighbors, and we try to feed them, and we try and take care of them. That's what Weinberg does. That's what all these different organizations who are involved here do. That's what our farmers do. We try and feed people. Understand that we produce enough food here in this Commonwealth, our farmers do, in order to feed all Pennsylvanians. And yet the federal government has blocked that righteous cycle that exists between our farmers, those who are hungry, and those who distribute food to people who need it most. But I'm unwilling to stand idly by. And these lawmakers are unwilling to stand idly by. Bridget and the boys is what I call them, although they all stand in their own right. And I'm grateful to each and every one of them. And we work together to try and figure out what we could do to address this hunger crisis. And so I wanted to come back to northeastern Pennsylvania today to give you an update on where things stand. Earlier, or just last week, I signed a disaster declaration, which I believe will help allow us to meet the needs of hungry Pennsylvanians. As a result of my order, my administration has been able to already deliver $5 million in increased state funding to Feeding Pennsylvania, the organization that then distributes that money directly to food banks that serve each of our 67 counties. Amazing places like Weinberg are seeing an even greater need right now. They are now able to use these additional dollars that are as a result of my disaster declaration to purchase healthy local food from Pennsylvania farmers and other local suppliers in order to provide assistance to those who need it most. Let me break it down further. Weinberg alone is receiving nearly $289,000 in emergency funds. That translates into 337,000 more meals for Pennsylvanians here in the northeastern part of our Commonwealth. But let me be clear. Our Pennsylvania food banks, despite doing the Lord's work, they cannot meet the need that is left with SNAP not being funded. Understand that we spend $366 million of federal money on those 2 million Pennsylvanians each and every month. And so while it's important what we're doing here at the food banks, it can't make up for what's happening as a result of SNAP not being funded. That is why my administration has asked leaders in the private sector to add on to the dollars that we're putting into the food banks to help those meals grow and help those dollars go further. I reached out to leaders in the private sector across Pennsylvania, and I'm here to provide a report on how they've stepped up as well. Over just the last several days, we have raised over $2 million in private sector funds to match the state dollars that we have put in. Neighbors helping neighbors. These dollars go directly to the Pennsylvania SNAP Emergency Relief Fund, and every single cent of that money raised goes to Feeding Pennsylvania, which ends up in food banks just like this. And so if you're watching and you want to help out, you can contribute any amount to the SNAP Emergency Relief Fund, and those dollars, 100% of them, will make their way to hungry Pennsylvanians. I think it is a sign of just how compassionate the people are in this Commonwealth, and I'm grateful to each and every one of them for stepping up. Look, making sure folks have enough to eat, it's one of the most important things that we can do. Our food banks, with a great assist from our farmers, do incredibly noble work. As I said a moment ago, it is a righteous cycle that we need to continue to support. And I want to encourage everyone who's lucky enough to be able to put food on their table for them and their families to take a moment and do something for your neighbor. Perhaps you've got the means to be able to donate to that private fund. That's great. Perhaps you have the time to be able to come and volunteer here and help pack boxes. Because of the increased number of boxes, they need more volunteers here. And if you can donate some food that our food banks can use, I encourage you to do so as well. For every senior, every parent, every Pennsylvania child who's worried right now, I want you to know that we are here for you. We've got your back, and we're going to continue to do everything in our power to support you and to make sure that you are fed. We're going to continue to fight for you and stand with you. And for anyone out there who is worried about being able to put food on your table now, I say a couple things. Number one, there is no shame in this. There is no stigma that should be associated with this. We know you need help, and we want you to have this help. That is why we are here. And if you are looking for a place to get help, and maybe you don't live near Weinberg, or you haven't heard of Weinberg before, you can simply dial 211 or head on over to pa211.org and find a food pantry in your area where you can get the support and the sustenance that you need. And most importantly, I want everyone here to know Pennsylvania's got your back, and we're going to continue to work for you and fight for you every single day. And with that, it is really a pleasure to invite up Crystal Kudlowski, the COO of Volunteers of America PA, for a few words, and I'll come back a little later to answer your questions. Thank you all very much. Crystal, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak today on behalf of Volunteers of America, Pennsylvania, and service providers like us. While the Commission on Economic Opportunities Weinberg Food Bank serves as the main hub and distributor of charitable food in our region, smaller food banks like ours are where the people come to receive it. It is our honor to play the vital role of ensuring that the food from Weinberg actually reaches the hands of our neighbors who need it the most. While Volunteers of America offers a food bank, we do so much more. Every year, our team of case managers, housing outreach workers, community health workers, direct support professionals, drivers, and more support over 3,400 people across Pennsylvania, many of whom are working, sometimes multiple jobs, yet still cannot make ends meet. Nearly all rely on SNAP to help meet their needs. We serve on the front lines, and we hear the pain that ordinary people are living through, and the tough choices that they have to make to alleviate hunger are very real. The need has been rising for years, and now, without a strong SNAP safety net, it feels like a dam is breaking. 5 years ago, our food bank in Wilkes-Barre served about 80 households a month. Today, we serve more than 800 households every month. Earlier this year, we were forced to reduce our hours because we simply could not keep food on the shelves much longer than an hour. And thanks to our partnership with Weinberg, we are extending our hours again to meet this moment of crisis. Volunteers of America doesn't hear about hunger only in the food bank line. We hear about it in our emergency shelter, in encampments in the woods, when we're transporting seniors, and at the tables of new mothers receiving in-home support. People need food to live, and when incomes don't keep up with the cost of living, they turn to us. So thank you to Governor Shapiro for recognizing that we are facing a major crisis and declaring a disaster emergency. This action will help thousands of Pennsylvanians during this fragile time. Pennsylvania's current investment is a start, but we need to do so much more to ensure that people truly have choice and dignity when they turn to us for help. And while we're deeply grateful for the Weinberg Food Bank, their support and partnership in this endeavor, we also rely on the kindness of our neighbors. Those who donate food, volunteer their time, and share their dollars to ensure no one in our community is hungry. Thank you, and I will now pass it over to Logan Brace of Brace's Orchard.
Thank you, Krista. Thank you. Hey, Logan, thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Logan Brace. I'm a partner and co-owner of Brace's Orchard in Dallas, Pennsylvania, a small town right here in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania. I'm the 9th generation on our farm, and we're approaching the 200-year mark, being established in 1828. Doing work with our local food banks is a key part to our business. All state funds from the LFPA program to the PASS program, and now this emergency supplemental funding, are crucial to helping not only people in need, but also local farmers like myself. Food banks like Weinberg serve as a staple in the community, especially by prioritizing local farms within their region. Nothing tastes better than when it's grown fresh in your backyard. This program is not only a source of income, but it also gives us gratification to be able to supply ones who may not have the resources to be able to come purchase our products at the retail value. This program is beneficial in helping us maintain a steady income, not only throughout the harvest season where we provide excess of peaches, pears, apples, but also throughout the winter months. We are still able to provide fresh apples because of our cold storage systems. As one of only 2 remaining fruit producers in Luzerne County, I'm glad that my family's legacy is contributing to the health and well-being of countless other families in our region when they take their products home from the food banks like this one. It is just one way we can give back and help our neighbors, something we need more than ever at this point. And now I'd like to turn it over to Representative Jim Haddock for a few words. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Logan. And nobody mentioned earlier that before we came out here, we actually went in the back and we started boxing some products up for distribution. And the governor actually did a pretty good job. He backed us up there for a while. He was going so fast. He was, and he did have a conversation with Logan. One of the things we didn't tell you, Governor, is they make excellent apple cider. We're going to have to get you some because you're going to have to try that. But when the governor comes to town, and he comes to Luzerne and Lackawanna County quite a bit, and the reason I'm speaking today is this is my district, the 118th. We always have a little banter. We have some friend. He's here so much, we think he's part of our family. And every time he comes, though, he either has a check or he's announcing new jobs or so he's good with economic development. But we really like all of that, but we do like your money. We like the check. And that's why we're here today, because the governor realizes, besides economic development, creating jobs and doing grants, food insecurity is a real thing in Pennsylvania. And he stepped to the plate yet again with this emergency proclamation and funded $5 million to food banks like this. And it's so needed. And we thank you, Governor, for your leadership. In Luzerne County, we are the 4th highest in the state of Pennsylvania for people that receive SNAP benefits. 69,603 people. I also serve Lackawanna County, 41,572 for over 111,000 friends, your neighbors, your coworkers are on SNAP benefits. Can you imagine, in such a rich country and such a great state, that so many of our friends and neighbors need these valuable, we need the help of programs like the Weinberg Food Bank and what they do. Monday, I had a constituent come in, and I knew this gentleman. His wife worked at a local bank for years, and I'm a former banker. She was a competitor, but she was a teller. She worked. He worked. He worked at night at the convention hall, a major banquet hall right here in Pittston. Part-time. The guy had 2 jobs. His wife now has dementia. He's 76 years old. He's caring for his wife at home. He said to me, my water heater went. And we sat and we were trying to get him some money to help pay for the water heater. Because he said, you know, I'm going to have to go on $50 a month payment with my plumber. He said, and that's going to come out of my food budget. And he said, Jim, I'm going to tell you, my refrigerator is now bare. This guy and his wife worked hard their whole life. And yes, maybe they worked in jobs that were minimum wage, and they worked hard, and they got to retirement, and now they're struggling, just like the 111,000 people in Luzerne and Lackawanna County. This is for real. And the Weinberg Food Bank, what a wonderful asset we have here. We were here in May. This building, this facility was extended to 65,000 square feet, and it's needed, every inch of it. They're in this facility for the last 10 years, and I congratulate Jen and her entire staff, the board of directors, and all the volunteers that come here on a regular basis to pack food and get it out, not only to Luzerne and Lackawanna County, but all of northeastern Pennsylvania. They serve quite a bit of an area, and they are to be congratulated for what they do every day for our friends and neighbors. So thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
And the good news, the last speaker, I do believe, before our governor takes some questions, we have Eddie Day Pashinsky, who's the majority chair of the Ag Department for the House of Representatives, and he's our friend and neighbor from Wilkes-Barre, State Representative Eddie Day Pashinsky.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Chairman. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you so much, Representative Haddock. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to serve, and it's an honor to serve with my fellow colleagues who represent the Valley with a heart. That's what Northeastern PA is, the Valley with a heart. You are here today because you are concerned. Thank all of you for all your good work. To the Weinberg Food Bank and their family for the years of dedication to helping thousands upon thousands of people. Isn't that what we've been taught to do? To help one another? Because every now and then, you never know when you're going to need it. Unfortunately, this disaster is a man-made disaster. Unfortunately, the elimination of SNAP is not because of a disaster. It's because of a political choice. I have the honor of being the ag chairperson, and I joke with everyone because I was born in Nanticoke, Pennsylvania, which is coal country. And my history is, as a kid, I had to make sure that my responsibility was to water my grandfather's tomatoes with a watering can, no hose, couldn't afford a hose, and I had to clean the pigeon coop. I want you to know that every one of those farmers have an incredible work ethic to get that product that they grow to our tables. And never forget that our farm industry, our ag industry, $132 billion, one of the biggest in the entire United States, the quality food that it produces. Give our farm industry a nice round of applause, please. And we are all here today because we're stepping up. We want to protect those families that are in need. We want to make sure that the Trump administration's refusal to fund the November SNAP benefits are not lost in all of this. Thank God Governor Shapiro has enacted various efforts, most decidedly, to make sure, because of the fact that he cares about the people of Pennsylvania. That emergency declaration brought in $5 million that you wouldn't have. That $5 million is going to make sure we're going to make it through until we can make the federal government change their mind. That $5 million brings that charitable food network, Feeding Pennsylvania, which we will distribute that to the 13 different food banks. Weinberg, of course, is one of those. This declaration allows us to move resources faster and make sure food gets where it's needed most, but not stopping there. You just heard the governor say he's also developed a private sector partnership. When this speech was written, the governor collected $1 million. That was a day ago. Governor, you just said you're up to $2 million. Governor, I want you to know I brought my check, and my colleagues brought their checks, and we will continue to help you support that private fund. And by the way, if you want to try to help folks with that, it's called the SNAP Emergency Relief Fund. So for all of our PR folks here, the SNAP Emergency Relief Fund. Together, these actions will definitely feed the folks that are in need. You also know that he took that legal action. He took the legal action and won. He won the court case. And yet, in Washington, you can do better than that. He won the court case. Yet, in Washington, they're not honoring the result of that court case. That's why that $5 million is important. That's why the private $2 million is important, to help us to get through this mess. The thing that I think is most upsetting, the federal government has a $6 billion contingency fund. We also, in Pennsylvania, have a $7 billion reserve fund. Everybody should be doing that because we never know what emergency arises. Is this an emergency? Yes. Is this an emergency?
Yes.
You're darn right. Here we are packaging food, trying to help people. Again, unnecessary. The $6 billion reserve fund could be supplying all that's necessary. But Washington, for some reason, lack of a heart, lack of a sense of responsibility, lack of kindness. How could they do that? Richest country in the entire world. They can't do that? 60-year history, this has never happened. As the governor pointed out, we have over 700,000 kids that are going to be affected. We have nearly 700,000 seniors and people with disabilities. How's that possible? In all of this, I want to also make one other point. Some people out there think that they're just using our tax money, giving it to people that don't work, giving it to people that are lazy. That's not true. That is not true. Those numbers show there's many people working. They're not making enough money to be able to provide for their family. That's another issue that has to be taken up. The bottom line is, for every $1 billion that's invested, that's your tax money, that's invested in this SNAP program, $1.5 billion is returned back to the economy for the farmer, for the truck driver, for the grocery stores, for that entire chain, that entire food chain. That money comes back to help us again. The total shutdown of SNAP, that's going to harm over 10,000 grocers and food retailers. That ripple effect is enormous. 10,600 retailers across 38,000 locations in Pennsylvania. If that disappears, families go hungry. Most important, for anyone that needs help, you can call 211, or you can go to pa211.org to find your nearby food pantry, or you can also visit feedingpa.org. Once again, pa211.org, or call 211, or visit feedingpa.org. I think it's obvious Governor Shapiro is doing everything that he can, legally, financially, and morally, to make sure Pennsylvanians do not go hungry, to make sure no parent has to choose between paying bills and feeding their family. Governor, it's an honor to be with you. I've had the pleasure to serve with the governor way back when I got elected. And I'll never forget when he got up and he spoke, we had some concerns. My first thought was,
All right, Eddie, thank you. Yeah. I don't know where we're going here.
no.
Yeah.
He got up and he spoke. And my first thought was, that kid's going somewhere. We are so proud to have you as our governor. Governor, we are so proud to have you. It's a real honor and a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I'll take some questions. Before I do, I know we just heard from Chairman Paszynski and Representative Haddock, whose district we are in. And by the way, you're doing your best Bill O'Boyle impersonation there with your quarter zip. Look, but I do think it's important to note that this Northeastern Pennsylvania delegation works really, really well together. And you're blessed to have them all. And so I do want to also acknowledge Kyle Donahue and Kyle Mullins and the aforementioned Bridget Kozarowski. They do really, really great work all together. And when I signed that disaster declaration and leveraged those millions of dollars, it's as a result of their work putting that money in place so that we could leverage it to help people eat. And so each and every one of these representatives deserves your appreciation and your support for their work. So I just want to thank you guys for being here. And with that, we'll take some questions. Yep.
I'm Melissa Steininger, Newswatch 16. This obviously comes as that state budget is well overdue as well, about 120 days. What are we doing to move things forward? Here in Luzerne County specifically, we have schools saying that they will not be able to bring kids back after a holiday break. Some kids on that topic of food insecurity rely on school for a meal. So where are we on all of that?
They rely on their universal free breakfast that we put in place a couple years ago, and we're going to continue to fight for that. Look, I've been very, very clear. I mean, the Senate of Pennsylvania skipped town, and they stopped doing their work. And frankly, this budget is long overdue. That's why last week I brought the leaders from all four caucuses, the two in the Senate, the two in the House, to my office each day for 4 straight days, twice a day, to hammer out these issues, to force them to come back and do their jobs. We I think, resolve many of those issues. Now they got to come back to work, and I expect them to come back here in the next couple days and wrap this up.
Chris
Yes.
Doyle, Citizens Voice.
Just need you to speak up.
Chris Doyle, the Citizens Voice. While this government shutdown has created an immediate crisis with SNAP, it might be a prelude to a bigger crisis given the One Big Beautiful Bill passed in July and its imposition of new work requirements and its imposition of state matching fund requirements. Speak up. Sure. And its imposition of state matching fund requirements, the One Big Beautiful Bill. What would your response be to Pennsylvanians who are anxious about that and the other cuts to SNAP?
Yeah. Well, understand that your congressman from this district voted to cut 510,000 Pennsylvanians off of their health care, and at the same time voted to cut about 140,000 of those 2 million Pennsylvanians off of SNAP. And the third thing they did was gut payments for Medicaid to rural hospitals, which is going to likely end up with 25 rural hospitals shuttering here in Pennsylvania. That's what your congressman voted for, and he was the deciding vote on that measure that President Trump signed into law. I was very, very clear to those congressmen as they were weighing this bill about the impact it would have, not just here in northeastern Pennsylvania, but all across this Commonwealth. They voted for it, eyes wide open, knowing what the results would be. I also was very clear that the state does not have the ability to backfill these cuts. And so this is a decision your federal government made to knock 500,000 people off of Medicaid, knock over 100,000 off of SNAP, and really harm our rural hospitals. I think it's shameful. And hopefully you will see a new Congress come and reverse those cuts going forward. And if Tuesday night is any indication, I think you're going to see a lot of change going forward here and hopefully reverse these damaging cuts.
Governor,
Bill. Oh, there he is. Jimmy, look at that. Huh?
in all your years,
You got one of those?
I will.
You will, Bill. Yeah.
But in all your years in elective office, did you ever think you'd come to the point where you would see issues like feeding people, taking care of people in health care, human issues that people depend on to live, ever become so politicized?
No, Bill, and it's sad to see. I mean, I think there were always these constants and these sort of universally recognized things that sides might have slightly different views on how to effectuate the policy around that, but everybody kind of agreed, right? You agreed that folks need to eat. You agreed that they got to have access to health care. You agreed that they got to have safe communities. And again, we might have different policies and different approaches to addressing that, but these were universal things that people agreed on. I mean, heck, these are universal teachings that come from biblical days. And yet we find ourselves now where you've got the people in charge in DC literally using 2 million hungry people in Pennsylvania as pawns in their political games. I believe in getting stuff done, not playing political games. I think, unfortunately, DC does too much posturing, too many political games, and not enough solving problems. And you're seeing an example of that. You're seeing the effect of that. I mean, we're seeing it here at Weinberg. I'll just share a story with you from another part of the state. On Tuesday, I was driving through North Philly, and as I'm driving, I see about a 3-block long line of people, moms with their kids, elderly folks, people in wheelchairs, you know, every different type of person from every different walk of life, 3 blocks long. And as I approached the end of the line, I looked down the street, and it went as far as you could see. I realized when we doubled back around, these folks had lined up at a pop-up food pantry along Broad Street in Philadelphia. So whether you're here in northeastern Pennsylvania, you're in Philadelphia, you're anywhere in this Commonwealth, you got people who are so hungry they're lining up for blocks and blocks and blocks to get food in the United States of America, where we have wonderful farmers like the Braces who are producing enough food for all these people to eat. The intervening event here is that the government that's in charge in Washington, D.C. has broken that link between our farmers and folks who are hungry, and they're withholding food from people who are hungry. That should upset all of us. I don't give a damn what party you're in. I don't care who you voted for. We should want our neighbors to eat. And as a result of the federal government's actions, they're not eating. And that breaks my heart. And that's why we're trying to do something about it here in the Commonwealth. Yes.
Governor, Lydia McFarland with WVIA News. Wondering if you can speak a little bit about the election results, particularly the performance of Democrats here in Luzerne County, across the Commonwealth, and the country.
I did take note of the fact that Luzerne County Council had a dramatic shift as a result of the election. Look, I think it was very clear that the people of Pennsylvania and Luzerne County and Erie County, Bucks County, other kind of bellwether communities, and all across this Commonwealth voted for two things. Number one, they voted for more freedom and protection of their rights when they voted to retain the 3 Supreme Court justices. And second, they voted for people in their community that they believe are going to get stuff done for them. I think you juxtapose that with the chaos folks are seeing coming out of D.C., and what they want are leaders here who are going to fight for them, get stuff done for them, and protect their fundamental freedoms and rights. And to me, that's the takeaway from what happened here in Pennsylvania on Tuesday night.
One more WVRE, go ahead. Speaking about the election, Joe Mason, 2822 News.
Yeah.
With the municipal election now in the rearview mirror, many are looking ahead to 2026 and then, of course, 2028. Are you considering a run for president?
I'm focused on doing my job here in Pennsylvania. I think that is the most important thing I can do, and I'm going to keep doing that work together with all these folks, getting stuff done and protecting people's rights and freedoms here. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, brother.